Well, it is time for us to return to preview and predict the fourth and last, but not least, playoff final at Wembley Stadium. We've done all of the EFL divisions and now we're seeing which of these two top sides will be returning to the EFL. Of course, I'm talking about the Vanarama National League playoff final, which takes place this Sunday, the 1st of June at Wembley Stadium. And it is two sides that are no strangers to the EFL and certainly no strangers to trouble in recent seasons. However, both have bounced back and found stability over the last year or two, and now they will play off in a single game at 3 p.m. on Sunday to return to the Football League. Of course, it is Oldham Athletic versus Southend United, and as always, we're going to preview and predict the score for this final, and I'll encourage you guys to do the same in the comments below. It's the final game in the season, so you won't get a shout out next time, but you will get a well done and a quick response in the comments. So get your score prediction in. Don't forget to specify if you think extra time or penalties will play a part. We'll go through our preview in a minute, but before we do that, we need to have a quick look back at the playoff semi-finals, where it's a little bit of a difficult one and it shows the value of a perfect score. Because I predicted that the Forest Green versus Southend game would be 1-1 after 90 minutes. I did say Forest Green would go on to win in extra time and whatever. None of that happened. And of course, the chance to get bonus points missed out on there. But I did get 3 points for a perfect score because it was 1-1 after 90 minutes, as unfair as that is. And in the other game, I am kicking myself. What did I do in pre-season? Go back to those predictions last July, August, whenever it was. I said Oldham will finish 5th and win the playoffs. They came up against York in the playoff semi-final and I backed against them. I can only apologise. Oldham with a thumping 3-0 victory at York City. Means I don't get that result right. No points added there. But a few of you down in the comments have done pretty well. Only one of you got 3 points for a perfect score. And that was Steve, who predicted that Forest Green v Southend would be 2-2 after extra time with Southend to win on penalties. So you've got to get a perfect score for that one. But also a shout out to 5 of you who called the correct final. Sken, Stephen, Sensei, Lynn and Winton, all of you called both teams to win and head to this Wembley final. So you all deserve a big shout out. Let's go and look ahead to the final on Sunday though. This is a game I'm really excited about. For those of you that follow non-league football, you'll know that the National League playoffs always deliver. And boy, have they in these ones, because these two teams have been scoring goals galore in the Eliminator and in the semi-final. And the fact that both of these played in the first round of the playoffs means that none of the top 3 are here. It is 5th versus 7th. Two teams separated by just 5 points and 5 goals scored. They are equal in terms of defensive record over the 46-game campaign. And they are only 5 goals apart when it comes to goals scored and points total in the league table. However, there is an awful lot that separates these two during the playoffs so far. Oldham, if we start with them, have breezed through. Now, if we go all the way back to last July and our pre-season predictions, the reason that I put Oldham to win the playoffs was because of Mickey Mellon. Now, he's been in the playoffs multiple times with Tranmere in the National League and in League Two, won on both occasions. Actually did the job against Forest Green, ironically, the first time when he was with Tranmere. This is a manager who just turns into a monster when it comes to these games, finds a way to make his team so rock solid, and seemingly with Oldham, to make the goals flow as well, because a 4-0 victory against a poor Halifax side was followed up with a 3-0 victory against a very good York side that finished, 23 points above them this year. We talked about that experience in the team and we saw the value of it. There were so many players that contributed. You're talking about bringing people like James Norwood and Jordan Rossiter off the bench. Incredibly EFL experience. Joe Garner starting a game up top with Fondop. Both of them involved, an assist each. Garner got a goal as well. And then you talk about Pett in midfield, a class act, and an experienced, essentially brilliant defensive duo of Raglan and Manny Monte. Him being back and to his best is a massive thing for them. We saw how important he was in Tranmere's rise. He's been there and done it in multiple playoff campaigns with Mickey Mellon before. He knows exactly what to do on this occasion. And James Norwood been involved in that as well. Something that may be crucial to consider when we get to Sunday. People that have been and won at Wembley in the playoffs with the same manager. And at this level, it could be absolutely crucial. But an exemplary performance against York. I know there were some slight extenuating circumstances, of course. Ollie Pearce didn't look fit, and there was all that talk about the injury in a few days before, which we didn't know about when we recorded our semi-final predictions. But I don't think, while that might have changed the clean sheet, would that have changed the outcome the way Oldham played? I certainly don't think so. They were magnificent in that game. A really solid, comfortable performance, and in the end, were able to save a little bit of energy after those two early second half goals to put them out of sight. It became a relatively comfortable game. And we talk about the experience in a team. We've not even got to the likes of Corey Evans playing in midfield as well. This is an Oldham side that is littered with international experience in Evans' case, with playoff experience in Monte, in Norwood's case. It's a great side that is delivering when it matters most, and it is hitting form and peaking at the right time. They're probably delighted in a way that Southend have got through because they lost to Forest Green just a few weeks ago. But over those two performances, you'd be very hard pressed to back against them when it comes to Wembley this Sunday. And when you consider that they've got some of their players performing and back in form and back to fitness in the case of Monte and the likes, there's no doubt that this is going to be an Oldham team that's very hard to beat. With one huge former EFL side comes another in Southend United. They've not done it quite so comfortably and not quite so solidly at the back, to be fair. A 4-3 victory after extra time against Rochdale, followed by a 2-2 draw at Forest Green and a penalties victory on the Wednesday night last week. Both of these sides will have had plenty of time off, so I don't think that extra time is going to play too much of a factor. Two tough games, but again now a 10-day break, probably enough to recover. And to be fair, while I did predict Oldham to win the playoffs in pre-season, I predicted Southend to be in there. And of course, in FM24, I did a 20-year epic save with them. So I know quite a lot of their players pretty well now. Jack Bridge, one of those, a hero off the bench in extra time. A magnificent performance again, hung on in there. And after going ahead, when it got turned around just at the start of extra time, you thought, is there going to be anything left in the tank now? But this is a team that has continued to defy the odds over a 2-year period. Last season, when everything was backs against the wall, they were magnificent under Kevin Marr. And look, while tactically, on odd occasions, they have been found wanting, it's a manager who's not got that much experience. Obviously, is a club legend, and he's going to make mistakes along the way. But the togetherness he's brought into the club, the spirit he's brought amongst the players, absolutely magnificent. We know Nick Hayes in goal is a man with Wembley experience. He was there a couple of times last year. And again, there's a lot of experience in this side and a lot of quality as well. You only have to look at the likes of Jack Bridge and Macaulay Bonne coming off the bench in that game last time out. And you think, well, do you know what? They've got people who can make a difference there. Considering where Southend were at the start of last season, where they were naming 3 or 4 substitutes, they were naming pretty much youth players coming through as well. This is a magnificent achievement and a great place for them to be. Again, quality in the team. They've got goals from everywhere. We've seen Gus Scott-Morris this season popping up with plenty from right back, albeit more at the start of the season. Goodliff popped up with a goal and an assist in the semi-final from centre half. This is a Southend United side that have got quality. And more importantly, have got a togetherness with the fans connected on board with the manager that has not been evident at the club for such a long time. And that last year and a half or so, I kind of know it from going through that stage with Luton around 15 years ago. We won't mention the last couple of years, but where you drop down to non-league, you think you're going to lose your club, you then have to build back up, you get stuck in non-league for a while. Like, there's nothing like the togetherness of a brilliant manager in starting to get on a roll. And Southend United, look, in 2 games away from home against exceptional opposition this year. Rochdale and Forest Green have both been very good sides in 3rd and 4th place. And they've found a way and they've scored goals. They've been a constant threat in front of goal. They've scored goals from pretty much every area of the pitch. And they've had substitutes that have made an impact. And I wonder if that's going to be a key factor in this game, because both of these sides have had that. Southend obviously came into the playoffs in form at the end. Oldham seemed to be hitting form at the right time. But both sides have got incredibly experienced squads, players off the bench who can come and make a big impact. Will it be the sort of game where a Macaulay Bonne or a James Norwood comes on and scores the winner? I'm trying to look for clues of who's going to win this. And I was looking at the head-to-head record earlier in the season, the game right back at the start of the campaign, a 1-1 draw between Oldham and Southend. Then later in the season, at the end of March, Southend nicked a 1-0 in a pretty nothing game looking at the stats. How on earth do you call it? And I think, look, They're two sides I've got incredible respect for. I'll be happy for both of them if they come up. There's not really a loser from a neutral point of view here. Both sides are historically EFL clubs. Both sides have got the fan base. We should see a huge crowd, a great atmosphere at Wembley. For Southend United, a rewarding day after a couple of tough years for the fans. For Oldham, a chance to get back into the EFL. A manager who's incredibly experienced at this level. And for me, I wonder if that's going to be the difference. Is it going to be that little bit of tactical nous, that bit of experience of having been to Wembley and won the playoffs multiple times? Maybe that little edge goes to Mickey Mellon. And look, in pre-season, I had Oldham to finish fifth and win the playoffs against Southend in the final, ironically. And I do wonder if that's going to be the case here because, look, went against my pre-season prediction for the Oldham York game and it well and truly threw egg on my face. I really want Southend to do well. I really want Oldham to do well. If I could, we'd have both of them up. Let's get the 3 up, 3 down system in. But Oldham Athletic, for me, just have the edge on experience in the team, Wembley experience from the playoffs, and I went pre-season for Mickey Mellon to deliver. In the first 2 games, they've been exceptional. And I have to base it on the fact that they've played the strongest side on paper in the playoffs in York City, and they've gone there and absolutely battered them. And while Southend have had 2 tough ties against great opposition, they've done really, really well to get through them. And we've seen these types of runs before. Grimsby did it a couple of years ago where they beat Wrexham in extra time in that crazy game. Then they went on to the final and did it as well. I just have to stick with my pre-season instinct because it's such a wafer thin gap between them. I can't find another reason. So I'm going to go with my pre-season head from last July, and I'm going to say that Oldham are going to win this final by 2-0. They've been exemplary at the back. They've kept clean sheets, and I'm going to go for them to do the same here. So Oldham, for me, will win the Wembley playoff final for the Vanarama National League. The last game as the Vanarama National League by 2-0 on Sunday afternoon. But that's just my prediction for this game. Of course, as always, we'll encourage you to get in the comments below. Let us know what you think the score will be, how the game will go. Let us know if you're going as well, what it means to you if you're a fan of both sides. I know it's been a tough few years for both, but genuinely, I just hope it's a great game and both sides play to their best. I don't want it to be a game settled by mistakes or to be really cagey. These are 2 excellent teams, and I'm sure they'll produce a great advert for the National League. A genuine good luck to both. Nothing against Southend. I've got massive respect for both clubs, and I really hope that we get a great final, which the National League deserves. It's a fantastic division. Let us know what you think the score will be down in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything else across the summer, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. A few special things to come over the summer, including a few interviews with faces you may recognise from the lower leagues. And of course, we'll also have Championship Manager specials. And then we'll be back in under 2 months' time to start all of the pre-season predictions for the EFL and National League again. Thank you very much for watching and following along this season. I hope it's a great Wembley final to finish off the campaign. Good luck to Oldham Athletic and Southend United. Both sets of fans have a great day at Wembley. And may the best side be promoted to the EFL for the 2025-26 season.